For this project, you're going to need scissors, tape, and a printout of the extra large 1-inch square graph paper. In order to make a dice block, you're going to need to create a very specific shape, which I am going to show you. I would highly recommend that you first watch me draw the shape on the graph paper and then go ahead and do it yourself, just to make sure that you get it right. In the end, the shape of it is going to look a bit like a sword, or if turned the other way, looks a bit like a cross. So it starts out like you are creating a plus sign, but then one end is going to have an extra square on it, which is what makes it look a bit like a sword, or like a cross if the long side is pointed down. This is the outline of the template to make a dice block. Now, after you've got your outline made, then you can color in your dice block. You can use one color to make a solid colored dice block, or if you want to get really creative, you can use different colors on each square, because each square will be a different face of your dice block. So it's up to you if you want to use multiple colors, if you want to get creative, if you want to make a pattern. Just keep in mind that you are going to need to put some dots on your dice block, so you may want to avoid really intricate or heavy patterns, because readability is very important when it comes to dice blocks. So you just want to make sure that whatever design, patterns, and colors that you choose are not going to interfere with being able to read the die. Let's take a look at a die to see what the faces look like. You can see the dot location. What we're going to do is look at this die at the number 1 face, and we're going to put that number 1 face in the box that is right here in the middle, where everything crosses over, where the two lines intersect. We'll put the 1. Then if we look at the die and we see what number is to the right of the 1, it looks like it is 2. So we are going to replicate that, adding 2 dots. Now bring it back to the 1 face and go to the left, and there's a 5. So we're going to put the 5 over here on this side. Making sure these dots are really nice and clear, easy to see, making them a bit bold can be very helpful. Now, moving back to the 1 face, we can then flip the die to see what would be above the 1, and it's the 3. Now going back to the 1, we're going to see what's below it. It's the 4. And then we can flip that die one more time to see what is left, or we can use process of elimination to know that the last remaining face of the die will be the 6. If you feel that your dice are a bit hard to read, then it would be really great to use a white gel pen or a white acrylic paint marker or paint pen to make those dots outlined in white, or even to make them fully white. So take a look at how much easier that is to read just with the outline. And then let's take a look at how it would look all colored in. It is so much easier to read. Night and day difference. After your dice block design is finished, then you can carefully cut out your dice block shape. You want to cut exactly on the lines of the squares as closely as possible. So be slow and careful with this and cut as straight as you can, because the more precise the cuts are, the more easily the dice block will go together to form the cube. Once you have your dice block shape cut completely out, then we'll want to fold along all of the lines. Now, these lines might be more difficult to see if you've used a dark color, but try to find them so that you can fold right on the line. It's very important. Make some nice, crisp folds on each of those lines. And then next we're going to use tape to make it all stick together. Using small pieces of tape, we're going to pick one of the flaps, one of the die faces, and add tape to a side. Adhering it to one side first is very helpful, and then bring the other side over to it, matching up the cut sides of the face, and then press the tape onto the second side to make them secured together. This part can be very tricky, and this part can require a lot of patience, but just go slow or get some help if you need it, and you'll be just fine. So matching up those cut ends, we want them to meet, and then for the tape to go around. Now, it's easier the first few times because you can stick your finger inside the middle to help press the tape down and get a really good, secure adhesion. It gets a little bit trickier at the end when you can't get your finger inside the middle anymore. And once all of the edges are taped down, just check around your dice block, and if you see any spaces that seem to need a little bit more tape, you can add a little bit extra. Make sure it's very secure, and then give it a couple of test rolls and make sure that it rolls well for you and that it seems to be doing a good job. And that's how you make a dice block. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you'll be using your dice to play some fun family games very soon.